Second only to the 1970s, the 1990s was a great decade for rock music. This was a decade in which the lines of musical genre were blurred to almost non-existent. From psychedelic to progressive, from grunge to nu metal, and from pop rock to rap rock, the 90s had it all. The Seattle-born early 90s grunge movement single-handedly saved rock and roll. The glam or hair bands of the late 80s had left the art form irrelevant and nearly dead. If not for the grunge bands, we may not even be talking about rock music anymore. Toward the end of the decade, a whole new phenomenon was born with the advent of rap rock. The 90s were most certainly a golden age for rock music, and the world hasn't seen a better time for it since. Today, we're counting down the top 10 bands of that decade, right here on Frankenberry's Pop Culture Pow-wow. Aggressive, soulful, and highly political, Rage Against the Machine burst onto the rock scene with their self-titled debut album in 1992, and their explosive set at 1993's Lollapalooza Festival catapulted the band into the stratosphere. With frontman Zach De La Rocha's aggro rap-styled hardcore vocals and the one-of-a-kind guitar wizardry of Tom Morello, it's no wonder Rage captured the adoration of millions of rock fans who have remained loyal to the band even after their breakup in 2000. Falling right back into line when the band reformed in 2007. Our pick for number 9 had a musical style almost as strange and unique as their band name. Korn released their debut album in October of 1994 to much critical acclaim, but the band didn't really start picking up steam to take the world by storm until they landed the support slot on the 1995 Ozzy Osbourne tour. By the time their second album, Life is Peachy, was released, they had become one of the hottest acts in the world, thanks in no small part to MTV and their explosive live shows. Though going through some lineup changes, first losing their drummer David Silveria and then guitarist Brian Head Welch, who has since returned to the fold, the band is still releasing albums and packing arenas today. Number 8 on our list is one of the progenitors of the grunge movement. Fronted by Lollapalooza founder Perry Farrell, Jane's Addiction were the very definition of alternative rock. With the release of their album Ritual de lo Habitual in 1990 and the subsequent MTV takeover of the music video for their single Been Caught Stealing, Farrell and company captured the attention of rock fans all over the world. The screeching voice of Perry Farrell, combined with the melodic riffing and blues-driven leads of guitarist Dave Navarro, created a sound that was equal parts strange and unique, yet still commercially viable. Unfortunately, the band broke up at the end of 1991 to the dismay of fans. Thankfully, cooler heads prevailed and the band reunited in 97, broke up again, and then reunited once again in 2001. They may not be the most stable band in the world, but they sure do make some great music. They may not have been the first industrial rock band, but Trent Reznor's Nine Inch Nails was definitely the first to achieve global mainstream success. Head Like a Hole, the first single from the band's debut album Pretty Hate Machine, was unlike anything ever heard before. Mixing metal guitars with pop synthesizers and an almost house music style drum machine beat, the sound was absolutely out of this world. Commercial in ways and sledgehammer heavy in others, it was the perfect introduction to Nine Inch Nails. Reznor went on to deliver a successful EP titled Broken and two more successful full-length albums throughout the 90s, including 1994's The Downward Spiral, which produced the two gigantic hits Closer and Hurt, the latter of which would eventually be covered by the Man in Black himself, Johnny Cash. Trent Reznor is and always has been the only permanent member of Nine Inch Nails, and he continues to release albums and tour when the mood strikes him. Though they were not from Seattle, our number 6 pick are very much akin to the big four of the Seattle grunge bands. Stone Temple Pilots grew like a concrete rose from the streets of San Diego, California, and with the release of their 1992 debut album, Core, the band cemented themselves in the rock world. Core produced 4 massive hit singles with Sex Type Thing, Plush, Creep, and Wicked Garden. The band continued its upward momentum with 1994's follow-up, Purple, which they completed in less than a month. While the band's popularity continued to grow, so did the personal demons of its frontman Scott Weiland. Weiland's battle with drug addiction remained a problem for the band for the duration of their career. His repeated arrests and rehab stints always seemed to come at the worst of times, forcing the band to cancel live performances and tours often. The band remained a potent force in the studio, however, releasing several successful albums. Unfortunately, Weiland's demons were a recurring plague for the band until they finally dismissed the talented singer-lyricist in 2013, replacing him with Linkin Park singer Chester Bennington. Weiland finally succumbed to his addictions, passing away of an overdose in 2015. Emerging with their first major label release, Undertow, in 1993, Tool is an enigma. The progressive monster known as Tool is a band who truly does things on their own terms. First taking the world by storm with their single and video, Sober, it was clear right off the bat that Tool played by their own rules. The video was a disturbing and artistic creation by guitarist Adam Jones, focusing on strange imagery and claymation instead of the band members themselves, a trend which has continued with every video they've released since. Their live shows are as weird and entertaining as their videos. Instead of the normal frontman antics, running around the stage swinging a mic stand, singer Maynard James Keenan instead stands at the back of the stage on a small riser beside drummer Danny Carey. Instead of the normal rock star shenanigans, Tool live shows focus on musical perfectionism and a video and light show spectacular that would leave even Pink Floyd scratching their heads. This isn't caveman rock. Tool is a thinking man's band. the first of the Seattle grunge bands to sign a record deal. Our number 4 pick will be at home on many top 10 lists. While Soundgarden had been releasing independent albums and gathering steam in Seattle since the mid-1980s, they first came to prominence with the release of their video for Outshine from their 1991 album Bad Motorfinger. However, this respectable success would be completely dwarfed by the commercial success generated by their release of their next album, 1994's Super Unknown. With its release, Soundgarden were rocketed into superstardom by such songs as Spoon Man, Black Hole Sun, The Day I Tried to Live, and Fell on Black Days. Super Unknown saw the band become staples on MTV and also become a top-drawing live act. Frontman Chris Cornell has landed the top spot on more Best Vocalist in Rock lists than probably any other singer, and deservedly so. From his low-end growl to his soaring Zeppelin-esque high-end, his voice is still unrivaled today. The band continued to garner success with their next album, 1996's Down on the Upside. This album spawned several singles, including Pretty Noose and Burden in My Hand. Unfortunately, the band would break up in 1997, releasing a greatest hits album called A-Sides only a few months later. Luckily for fans, however, this wouldn't be the end. The band reunited 12 years later in 2010, touring and releasing new material until Cornell's untimely death in May of 2017. The heaviest of the Seattle bands, number 3 on our list, is Alice in Chains. While always associated with the grunge movement, there was something a little different about these Seattle rockers. They had a darker, almost metal side to them. Releasing their first major label album, Facelift, in 1990, the band became a staple on MTV's Headbangers Ball with a video for their single Man in the Box. Lane Staley's distinct vocal style, along with the heavy yet bluesy riffing of guitarist Jerry Cantrell, propelled the band to priority status among rock fans almost immediately. Not long after, the band showed that they also had a softer side, releasing Sap, an EP of all acoustic songs in early '92. Sap was also the first release to see Cantrell offer lead vocals alongside Staley, and their two distinct voices together would blend to make a unique sound and flavor that will become the trademark of the band. Later in the year, the band released its second full-length album, Dirt, which seemed to be the best of both worlds that they had created on Facelift and Sap, and propelled them to even higher stratospheric levels of rock stardom. The band continued to release albums and tour successfully through 1996, when Staley's growing dependency on heroin forced him off the road and into hiatus. While there was never an official breakup, we didn't hear anything else from Alice in Chains until Lane died from his addiction in 2002. The band returned to rock the world with a new album and replacement vocalist in 2008, and they continue to make records and tour. The hardest choice I had to face while making this list was which of the following two bands would come in at number 1. But make no mistake, rock music may well not have survived without either of the following bands. Sitting at number 2, Nirvana was a juggernaut. With the release of their 1991 major label debut, Nevermind, and its first single, Smells Like Teen Spirit, Nirvana changed the world. Their rough around the edges style and anti-rock star mentality was just what the youth wanted. After 10 years of hairspray, makeup, and excess, rock fans wanted something real. Rock bands had become cartoon characters, and rock fans of the era were sick of it. If it was something loud, raw, and unapologetic they wanted, Nirvana gave it to them in spades. With songs like On a Plane and Drain You, Nirvana took rock back to its roots. Solid, heavy-handed rhythms, loud guitars, and witty lyrics. Vocalist/guitarist Kurt Cobain was a rock giant, maybe even more so than he was ready for. Being shouldered with the responsibility of being named the spokesperson for his generation may have been more than he bargained for. The band followed up Nevermind with 1993's In Utero, a move away from the more commercial-sounding rock songs on Nevermind like Come As You Are and In Bloom, instead getting back to their punk roots with a more raw and aggressive style, with songs like Rape Me and Scentless Apprentice. One might say that it was Cobain's way of trying to stay real and not sell out to the corporate powers that be. If that was the plan, it didn't work. The band's popularity only continued to grow, leaving Cobain feeling completely alienated from his fan base as more and more of the same types of people who hated him in high school were now groveling at his feet for an autograph. Between his problem with drugs and his complete unwillingness to be the mainstream role model the world wanted him to be, it must have all just been more than he could endure as he eventually committed suicide in April of 1994, if you believe the narrative, that is, as many today believe that his death wasn't a suicide, but a well-planned scheme by his wife, Courtney Love of Hole, devised to make sure she controlled the millions he had earned with Nirvana, as it was well known at the time that the marriage was in trouble and a divorce may have been imminent. We may never know the truth, but one thing is certain: Kurt Cobain was a genius and a musical mastermind. The music he produced with Nirvana changed the world. Before we go on to our number one pick, let's take a look at some honorable mentions. One of the most beloved bands in the world even today, our number one pick were a flashpoint of the Seattle grunge revolution. It doesn't get any bigger or more alternative than Pearl Jam. When their debut album, 10, was released in August of 1991, accompanied by the video for the single Alive, life for these rockers changed forever. Pearl Jam didn't climb any ladder as much as they just exploded upon the world. Between the videos and their explosive live shows, they quickly became the biggest band in the world and were pushed much further into the mainstream of commercial corporate rock than they ever wanted to go. To their credit, The band were smart enough and had enough foresight to see that the major label machine was going to chew them up and spit them out, so they put the brakes on everything, refusing to do press or make videos upon the release of their second album, Versus. While many in the industry thought it was career suicide, Eddie and the boys knew exactly what they were doing, slowing down the machine to let the band develop organically. Always more concerned with their fans than with the so-called business, the band emphasized more on making great music than making gobs of cash, though they most certainly did that as well in the long run. But they never lost their heads or forgot their roots, even taking on Ticketmaster for what the band saw as unfair business tactics, accusing the company of being a monopoly and putting a price on their tickets that was an unfair burden to their fans. After touring without Ticketmaster for some time, the band eventually had to relent, but their fans still remember that the band made an effort on their behalf. Other than the new version of Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam are the only one of the big four Seattle grunge bands who are still around today and successful. In fact, out of those four bands, Eddie Vedder is the only frontman who's even still alive, making their first single almost prophetic now. Thanks for joining us to take this trip down memory lane to list the top 10 rock bands of the 1990s. Until next time, life is short. Enjoy it. Hey guys, Frankenberry here. If you enjoy our content and you would like to support us so we can make more content, you should think about becoming a patron through Patreon. It's through the support of people like you that we can continue to create and grow as a channel. Even the smallest pledge is helpful, and there are rewards for different levels of pledges. You can also show your support by ordering an official Frankenberry's Pop Culture Pow-wow t-shirt through our sister company, Second Skin. It's as easy as clicking the link in the video ad at the end of this video. Help us continue to entertain you. Want to show your support for Frankenberry's Pop Culture Pow-wow? Why not wear it on your sleeve? We've partnered with Second Skin to create this cool original t-shirt. Get it in the original black or choose any color you please for only $15.49. Plus, for a limited time, you get 20% off. Show your support by ordering your official Frankenberry's Pop Culture Pow-wow t-shirt today, exclusively at Second